Hi everyone, myself Priyanka, and I'll be taking you through the product labeling and information requirements. But I'll try to take you through at least the mandatory requirements, and definitely I'll share the link for the FSI regulation, which talks more about the food and display requirement. Therein you can go for in-depth knowledge, wherein meaning that yes, it is mandatory, but for few exceptions are there, which we'll talk about while going through the presentation or this session. However, we'll request you to go through the regulations as well to get the in-depth knowledge as well. So, yep. So the first thing is we want to talk about what we want to cover here is that labeling regulation for food business operators is really required. However, for few cases, few parameters, there are exceptions. We'll talk about the exception while taking you all through the parameters, which is really required from the labeling and display requirements. Yeah. So next thing we want to take you through about the how the display information should be displayed at e-commerce website, meaning based on the shapes and size. There are few pre-packaged products which has rectangular shape or the circular shape. So therein we should talk about how it should look on the website. So that's important from the regulatory as well as the display to the customer to choose the right product perspective. Okay, I'll quickly take you all through, FSI labeling and display regulation, which talks about more of 2020 regulates, and it is uh, it is prescribed the labeling requirements of the pre-packaged foods. So this is required for both pre-packaged as well as the food services, meaning when we talk about the, the food which we are getting from the restaurants. It is required from the both perspective. However, for this session, we'll talk about the pre-packaged foods and the display of essential information, meaning that when we talk about the label and we talk about the pre-packaged product, so what would be the essential information that should be displayed on the label? That I gonna take you through in few other slides. Now, general requirements. What is a general requirement in case of labeling and display regulation? Every food business operator, meaning if you're sending a food or preparing, manufacturing, distributing or importing, any food business operators shall ensure that labeling and presentation thereof does not mislead the consumer. So when we are giving a information, let's say when we talk about the nutrition value, right? So ideally the nutrition value should match should match with the product what we are selling to the consumer, meaning that we should not claim that this is low calorie, however the calorie value is not matching as per the claim. So whatever we are claiming should match with the requirement. Henceforth only we have to mention that this is low cal or this is the nutrition value of certain product. So how the regulation is important for us as well. So when a food product is sold through e-commerce, meaning that a food product is sold through e-commerce and the display information is or display images are provided to the customer, that images should tell that XYZ information is present on the food. For example, like if I talk about allergens, which is very critical information that should be provided to the customer to choose the right product. Meaning that if I am allergen to, let's say, egg products, I should have a choice to choose and to read ingredients or allergens that I'm buying the right product for myself or my family or not. So that's important that whatever the display images you are providing to the e-commerce, that should contain each and every relevant information to give choice to the customer to choose right product. So it has an exception that, for example, batch number, lot number, or best before dates that are really not required. That is required on the actual products. But if we talk about the e-commerce display, then it should have more or less all the information except the lot number, batch number, and best before dates. So what is seller's responsibility as well? That seller must ensure that label is not false or mislead or deceptive and it should provide clear and legible image pictures of their respective ASINs. Meaning, for example, like if you're sending any product, right, we should have the label, meaning complete information on the label, and that complete information should display on the e-commerce website as well for the customer. Now, next thing come as labeling regulation for the food. It is mandatory for all food products, meaning consumable when we talk about if you're selling at GL Grocery, Gourmet, or GL Pantry, GL Health and Personal Care, or GL Beauty Care. If it is consumable, ideally we have to follow the labeling and display regulation until provided, some exceptions are provided by the regulation. Now to display all the information that is visible on the product, meaning it must be on top, back, or whatever side it is provided, the information is provided. You should provide all the images for the website display for the customer. To show ingredients separately, there should be image for ingredients as well separately. Why? Because, for example, if a person is allergic to XYZ ingredient, they should be able to read the product and they should tell, yes, I should buy this product for me or my family, or I should not buy this product for ourselves. So that's why ingredient clear image should be there, should be provided for the consumer, and nutritional information. For example, if I'm health conscious, right, I look forward, what is the nutritional, information for certain products. So that clear image should be provided so that a customer can choose this is the right product for them to eat, or they want to, consume, or they don't want to consume. So that is more or less from the labeling and display requirement. Now, coming to the next general requirements, like it should have clear and legible picture and prominent picture so that every character, every parameter should be clear to the customer. That is very much important. Now, important thing comes is what is label actually, meaning when we talk about labeling and display, what label is. So label means any tag, brand, mark, or pictorial, or other descriptive matters written, printed. So that is which is present on the package, either it's on a crown or lid or anywhere in the food product, that will consider as a label. And it also includes a food insert, meaning that food should be there inside and it is packed and it is covered with a description with the brand name and other relevant information that will called as a label. Now next thing comes is that why it is important. Labeling, we'll go through that why labeling is required. However, next I want to cover about the pre-packaged or what are pre-packaged products or pre-packed foods. Pre-packaged or pre-packed foods means food which is placed in a package of any nature in such a manner that contents cannot be changed without tempering it. For example, I'll give you example. There is some categorization which talks about, what is pre-packaged or other foods. First of all, we must say that this is food. That is first categorization. Other it should be packaged, meaning it should be packed. Third, it should be temper proof, meaning if, for example, if you talk about the water bottle, right, that is a packed product. Why? Because it has a temper proof sealing as well. When we talk about temper proof sealing, that comes under pre-packaged product. Now fourth is it should be for consumers. If four parameters are matching, the more or less it calls about the pre-packaged food. Now I'll give you example here. I have given you example of the drinking water bottle. It has seal. It is food for consumption. Meaning it is consumable. It is packed and it is for the consumer. Hence it comes under pre-packed. Now if you talk about the open water, right? So will it fall under pre-packaged? No, because it doesn't have any package and it doesn't have a temper-proof sealing. So it will not come under. Whenever we see or talk about loose, it will not fall under pre-packaged. But if it has a temper-proof sealing, then yes, it comes under pre-packaged food. So next is the information required to be displayed for the food products. What are the information which is mandatory that should be present on label? First of all, let's talk about the product name, ingredients, nutritional information, manufacturer or packer name with address, veg and non-veg logo, self-explanatory, FSI logo, FSI license number, net weight, quantity, retail sale price, and customer care details. Another is instruction for use, dosage if the product is dietary supplement, if the product manufactured outside of India, importer name and FSI license and number should be written on the product, country of origin, allergen, and declaration regarding food additives. So that is really required in case of information that should be provided, should be displayed on the label. Now I'll take you through from all the points, like one by one we'll discuss that what actually it means and how it should look like. Now first of all, let's talk about the product name or ingredients. So meaning every package of the food shall carry the name of the food. For example, if you see any food product, there is a name written. So that is called a product name, or we can itself call it as a title of the food. So that comes under product name. And the next, we can call it as the name of a food shall indicate the true nature of the food contained in the package on front of the pack. That should be written in itself. Next thing which is mandatory is ingredients. So ingredients must have a prefix, meaning that it has a word prior to mentioning the ingredients, which should be either ingredients or list of ingredients. These both should be there. So then only ingredient should be, then it should be followed by ingredient names. Now when we talk about ingredient names, it should be in descending order of composition, meaning let's say if like if you see this example which is displayed on the screen, so here the maximum number of, maximum amount of the product uses wheat flour. However, the least would be the emulsifier, which is written at the last. The whatever the amount which we are using the most, that should come at the prominent at first place, and the least should come at the end of the mentioning of ingredients. So there is exception. If it is a single ingredient food, then ingredient list is not required. It is exempted for that. So next come is nutritional information. So that is also one of the mandatory requirement that should be displayed. There is exemption, but for others it is mandatory to display nutritional information of the product. Now it need to provide its per 100 gram or 100 mg, meaning if your food, let's example, it is of 500 mg, but you can give your nutritional information amount as per 100 gram approx. So that should be written in 100 grams or 100 ml. It's not compulsory, but yes, it's meant, but it's good to have to give in 100 gram. That gives the right proportion that, you know, a customer can calculate and can look forward. Now it must include energy, which is calorie value, and it should be in kilocalorie. Protein, it should be in gram. Carbohydrate, it should be in gram. Fats, it should be in gram. If you'll see the example, which is in a blue, label side. Now, if you see energy is written in kilocal, protein is in gram, carbohydrate is in gram, fat is in gram. Now, fat has further, division. If we are mentioning fat and it has some, unsaturated fats as well or cholesterol as well, then we have to mention these things as well. Saturated fat, fatty acid, monosaturated fatty acid, unsaturated fatty acid meaning trans fat, cholesterol in milligram, that should be mentioned on the label. And we should mention sodium as well if this is part of ingredient. If sodium is mentioned, we should definitely mandatorily mention sodium on the nutrition information. If vitamins are and minerals are there and we really want to display that, that is also we should display vitamins and mineral quantity on the nutrition label. Now there are few exceptions wherein the nutrition information may not be necessary in case of food such as unprocessed products containing single ingredient. Like if you talk about wheat, rice, these are single ingredient. If you talk about spices, coffee, these are single ingredient. So when we talk about single ingredient, meaning there the energy value is not required, nutrition value is not required. In that case, the exemption is given to such products. If you talk about fresh fruits and vegetable, it's not required there. So for few products like packaging drinking water, packaged mineral water, that nutritional information is not required. So next we'll talk about the manufacturer or the packer name with the address. So this is also one of the mandatory requirement to mention on the label. Now why this is required? For example, there are a brand which is getting their product packed from XYZ or maybe 3 different vendors, right? So if, for example, if there is a problem with one product, right? So if the manufactured address is not right, then brand may not be able to know that where the product is manufactured and they won't be able to trace back. So hence, it is important that name and complete address of the brand owner, whether or not he himself is a manufacturer, marketer, or packer, or bottler, as a case may be, shall be declared on the label. Such names and address shall be preceded by the quantifying word which is manufactured by. You can write MFG by or MFD by or marketed by MKTY. So that's a short form if you want to write back, or you can put a full form which says marketed, manufactured, and marketed by, or packed and marketed by, wherever the case is. For example, if you'll see the label example which is mentioned here, this talks about that it has both the names, both the addresses, which is manufactured and packed by. When we talk about manufactured, this is manufactured in Spain. So when the product is manufactured outside of India, it's important that they should have a imported by address as well. So if you'll see, imported by would be from India only. So at the bottom it is written imported by. and that there's a address mention of the FBO who has imported this product. So this way, manufacturer or the packer name with the address should be there. So food additives or storage conditions, that is also important. So if we talk about the food additives, if we talk about the emulsifiers or the stabilizer, whatever is used in the product, that should be mentioned with international numbering system, meaning that is INS. That is clearly given in the regulation, how you can see INS and you can put the number. So if you'll see the label example here, it says contained permitted natural colors, and that says INS number. INS number is the numbers given to a specific permitted natural color. So hence, instead of giving a full name, we put INS here and we complete the information that these particular permitted natural colors are added in the product. So similarly, if you see the next line, it is written and synthetic food colors, INS 122 and added flavor. So this way, additives should be mentioned in the ingredient itself. That's mandatory. So next talks about that, detail of specific storage condition. Now, why it is important? For example, there are certain products which are perishable. There are certain products which requires a temperature of 2 to 4 degree, which is chilled condition, or few products may be requiring minus 18 degrees Celsius as well. So it should be very much clearly written on the label that how the storage or condition of the product should be. Like most of the ambient which we talk about, that which you can keep on at room temperature, like biscuits, chips, or a similar example, pulses, right? There is written that store in a cool, hygienic, dry place, which says that we don't need a freezer or let's say chiller to store the specific product. So hence, it's important to share this information for the consumer so that they should know that this particular product has a shelf life of this X if we store this product at certain temperature. So that should be clearly written on the label. So next is, which is very much important, definitely from a regulatory perspective, as well as few people, they believe in religion. So hence it should be, given a choice to the customer that they should know this is a veg product or this is a non-veg product. So every package of non-vegetarian food containing ingredient, including the food additives, processing aids of animal origin must have a symbol consist of a brown color filled with a triangle. If you see an example of label here, which is, triangle in shape, and there is square outside, that talks about the non-veg logo. So now what the statement says is just like, for example, like I'll give a basic example here. There are few cakes, shelf-stable cakes, which has product like ingredient like egg. So it clearly states if egg is there, we have to put a non-veg logo. Now, there are some products, there won't be direct ingredient, but there can be a emulsifier or some additive is used, which the origin of the additive is animal, meaning that it's not plant origin, it is animal origin. So then also we should display this is non-veg in nature rather than displaying this is veg. Definitely, the ingredient directly will not tell that this is a non-veg product. However, if we see that the stabilizer or the additives what we are using, that has a origin of animal, then we should put a non-veg logo. Now, there are, okay, let me talk about the vegetarian, then I'll share you the logo history as well. For vegetarian food, wherein the origin is plant-based, it should have a green logo, which is green circle and surrounded by square. So there is a, uh, even the dimension, how it should be there, that is written in legal metrology, and that's mentioned here as well. So that way it should be displayed, this is veg or non-veg logo. Now, the earlier veg or non-veg logo both were circle in nature, and then it was surrounded by square. So it was, tough for the blind, not the blind, but the color blind people to identify, to distinguish between color, because both the shapes are circle only and circle surrounded by square. So hence it was decided that there should be a change in one of the logo so that at least the colorblind people should be able to identify this is veg or this is non-veg. So there are more products towards the veg shelf stable, so hence it was decided that non-veg logo would be changed to support them so that they can distinguish well between a veg and non-veg. So now veg logo comes with a circle and surrounded by square, and non-veg logo is triangle brown color triangle surrounded by square. So that is more or less about the veg and non-veg logo, which is very important to share on label requirement. So another thing is, let's talk about the FSI logo and FSI license number. So every label must have a FSI logo on the product in the below format. And without FSI license, we cannot manufacture, we cannot sell the product. So hence, we all must be knowing about the FSI number. So it's important that whosoever entity is, if the manufacturer, they should display their FSI license with their 14-digit FSI license number. So if you'll see, for example, in many of the product, I think mostly of the product, you'll see that FSI number and FSI logo would be written. You can write it direct as well, or you can write on top, you can write FSI number, and at the bottom you can write license number. Or it can be, you can mention the license number and FSI number can be front of it. So that's the choice that you can do. However, the FSI number and logo should be present on the product. So FSI license number of the brand owner shall be displayed on the label. If the brand owner is different than the manufacturer, then the manufacturer's FSI logo should be displayed along with the brand owners, meaning that there should be two different FSI number. One is for brand owner and other is for manufacturer. There should be two different. Sometimes you would have seen that on one product there would be multiple FSI license number. So what company does is if they're manufacturing a single product from multiple third party or multiple location, their own locations. So what they do is they write ABC coding and they write the manufacturer address and FSI license number. And when they put the batch number, they trace it with the manufacturer address. For example, like A says it's in Mumbai, B says it's in Karnataka, and the product is manufactured in Mumbai, then they'll code it with A, so that whenever they want to do the traceability about the manufacturer, they should be able to do it. So that's why FSI number and the manufacturer logo is important. Sorry, FSI number and the license number is important. This is a 14-digit FSI license number. So, okay, next one is net quantity, retail sale price, and consumer care detail. Now, this is very much important. Why? Because you would have seen that few products, there are some traceability, or let's say if a manufacturer, they manufacture one product, however, they of late realize that the product has some defect, right, which should not go to the consumer. Then this, traceability helps them to identify, or we can say otherwise as well. If I'm a consumer, right, I want to say claim that, this product is not helping me or is not good for my health, then I should have a address or toll-free number or email ID wherein I can message to them that, hey, something is wrong with this product, and if you want to recall or you want to look for other batch, please do in that sense. So if you want to inform or give a feedback to the manufacturer, so then customer care details should be mentioned. So this is really much important from the customer care perspective, that you want to give an address, a toll-free number, email ID and the website, so that customer can see, and if they want to talk about, if they want to give a feedback, they should be able to give the feedback about the product. So that helps from the customer care details perspective. Next thing is net weight should be written. This is also important. Like for example, if there's a product, if it is 1 kg, 500 gram, whatsoever it is, it should be clearly mentioned on the product, this is the net weight of the product. Now, if you say that for net weight, what should be the guidelines, you can refer the Legal Metrology Act 2009. It's one of the 2010. So under that rule, it is pretty much well described. If you are writing a net weight, what should be space or what should be numerical height if you're writing this way, how you have to write gram, how you have to write kg, how you have to write ml. So that is clearly mentioned that you can follow that guidelines to meet the legal metrology requirement. So the good part is the legal metrology requirement for net weight and the numerical height, that is same for even for FSI. So the whatever we are following there, that will match the FSI regulations. Next thing is MRP, meaning that retail sale price should be written on the product, so that customer should know that at what price they are buying, or if they're buying something, that price should be displayed on the product. Instructions of use. So instruction for use, that is also very important from the product storage or utilization perspective. For example, there are baby food, right? And once you open it, you should know that how you want to seal it, because few products, they have a milk solids that condense. If you open it, it will become soggy after some time. So even the storage and instruction, or instruction, when we say, for example, it should say that, if you talk about the baby food, it will say you boil your bottle, or you use this X number of spoons, and then you use sterilized water, maybe boiled water, and then you can prepare this. So that thing should be there. Or instruction of storage should be there, meaning that it should be like, if you're opening a packet, put this in a airtight container and then refrigerate, or if you want to keep it outside, but you store it in a airtight container, because that will give a clear communication to the consumer that how they want to store it after opening. Because a bulk packet, or maybe a single packet, they may not be able to consume in a one day. So hence, instruction for use or storage must be mentioned on the product, because it hampers the external environment, hamper the food product, and it may hamper the customer health as well. So next part is, which is important, which says dosage or the serving size. So this is very much important uh, from the supplements perspective. Like, there are some dietary supplements. Let's talk about there are few products which talks about, it has vitamin B12. Few says it has vitamin E. Few says this has, vitamin XYZ. So A, B, C in that way, right? In that case, RDA value or dosage must be present. Now, why dosage is required? So there is only certain limit which is allowed by regulation. Meaning that, for example, if this is a vitamin A, there is X amount of milligram that a person or adult or man should consume in a day. So hence, it should be written and well calculated with respect to RDA, and it should be well informed that, one tablet in one time, or even in one day, or let's say two tablet will, give you the required RDA value for the consumer. So hence, it is very much important that dosage must be present on the dietary supplement. So this is not required in case if you are selling a atta, if there is a spices, but this is very much required when we talk about the supplement, health supplements or the dietary supplements. So another part is when we talk about the imported product that we discussed earlier as well, that label must have a importer name, meaning that if the product is manufactured in, let's say, uh, any outside of India, then in that case, a person who is importing, that person is from India. So that manufacturer, or the importer is from India, that address also should be written along with their FSI license number. This is again for the traceability purpose. Let's say if a product is manufactured in Spain, right, you won't be able to capture or hold that person accountable in that case. It should be, it should be traced by the person who has imported this product, so that the information can be passed to the right manufacturer if in case of any defect confirmation, or if you want to give any feedback to that manufacturer. Also, along with FSI logo number and license number, there should be country of origin that should be specified if the product is imported into India. So next is very much important. That is important not from the regulation perspective only, but it is important from the customer health perspective as well. Allergen is a mandatory to be displayed on the label. Now, why it is required? Few people, they would be allergic to certain, uh, when we call allergens. So allergen is which irritates the body, meaning if a consumer is consuming and that person is allergic to that, then the body will react in some other form, meaning that that body will not accept that food. It will act as a, antibody will start generating. It will, disturb the consumer after consuming that particular allergen or that particular product. Now, there are total 8 allergens which are categorized, wherein it is mandatory to give a allergen information. So if you are giving a allergen, in the ingredient, or sorry, allergen is present in the ingredient, it should start with the prefix which says contains. For example, if you talk about the cereal, it should be written as contain cereal if it has wheat. If the product has milk and milk product, it should have contains milk and milk product. If, for example, like bakery, in bakery the ingredient is egg, then the allergen value should written as contains egg and egg products. It should be clearly mentioned as allergen that it contains this product so that a customer should think if they really want to eat this product or not. So the main 8 allergens which are there is cereals. Let's talk about wheat, barley, a certain percentage of ragi. So these cereals are categorized as which contains allergen. Cretaceous products, milk and milk products. That is also, for example, you would have heard of that few people are lactose intolerant, meaning that they are not able to consume the milk. So hence they have to avoid the milk because they cannot, the lactose present in the milk, they are unable to consume. Their body is unable to break down. So for them, it should be clearly mentioned that milk and milk products are present. So contains milk and milk products. So they should choose their product wisely, whether they want to consume or not. Fish is also allergen, fish and fish products. Peanut tree nuts, like if you talk about the cashew or the nuts, that should be clarified that this product contains nuts, so that if a person is allergic, they should think through. Soya bean and their products, and lastly sulfite if the concentration of 10 mg or 10 kg or more. So that should be clearly written that sulfite concentration is this much, then it should be declared, or it should be declared as contains sulfite. Allergen, again, the slides mainly cover which are the big allergens which should be classified: wheat, sulfide oxide, crustaceans, nuts, milk, eggs, fish, and soya. So these are the allergen which should be declared. Now there is exemption provided further that this declaration is not required in case of oil derivatives from these ingredients. Meaning, if we talk about the fish oil is an oil derivative of fish. In that case, it is not required to mention that this is an allergen. It is understood. If we talk about almond oil, right, it's, the oil is derived from these ingredients. However, it is not required to put allergen information for the almond oil. Also, there is exemptions for the raw agriculture commodity. For example, if you talk about atta, right, it's not important that they have to write that contains wheat, because it is but obvious that, this contains wheat in this case. So next is, which is very much important from website perspective, that how to display complete information for the customer. So display high resolution all side images of the product packaging to provide complete information to the consumer. Meaning that, for example, if this is a box container, then ideally it should have all side images, so that whatever the information is written on the boxes, that should be displayed for the customer to look upon, what is the allergen, what are the ingredients, if whether the the product has a FSI logo or not, whether it's veg or non-veg. So hence all side image with high resolution should be provided. Now each products needs to have following set of images. Like for example, if there is a product, that should have front side image, back side, and top image, cropped image, ingredient label image, and cropped nutritional information image. So why along with full all side image there should be cropped ingredient label image? Because, for example, I may not be allergic to these 8 allergens which we talked about. However, I am allergic to certain other products. Let's talk about mushroom or something else, right? So I should be easily read the information ingredients on the label image, so that I can choose wisely whether the product is safe for me or not, or I should choose some other product. So hence we request to have a cropped ingredient label image directly. It should be displayed to on the website. You should provide these images separately so that a consumer can read the information. Now again, the cropped nutritional information is required, because that few people, they can be health conscious, so they can look upon, they want to consume this high calorie product or not, they want to consume high protein, then they should look upon the nutritional information image. It should have a high resolution, so any text on the product is clearly visible. It should have hiding manufacturing, or meaning that it's not necessary for you to give a manufacturing date or expiry date when you're displaying the image on our A.in website. So it's important that if you can blur that MRP. It's only if MRP is written, that's fine. That should be displayed on the Amazon.in website. Another is ingredient and nutritional information that should be covered in top 6 images, meaning that which is prominent for the consumer to look upon. It should be visible on that top 6 images. So these are few examples which we want to take you through, how it should look like. Now this is a box or rectangle or square kind of product. So hence this is if you see first side, this is a front image. Front image has the front, whatever is written, that this talks about the product title. Now this has a veg logo. It gives a clear picture that this is a veg logo. If I have to choose vegetarian or non-vegetarian, I can look upon the picture and I can judge that yes, this is product is good to go for me or not. Now if you see, sorry, now if you see the second, back image, now this talks about, if you see bottom, there are FSI license number and logo is written. If you see on the right side, the net weight is written. Then on the below, best before is written, right? And at the bottom, it is written, email ID and that, customer care. Here it is written customer care and the address. So, and on the top, it is written ingredient. That talks about, favorite breakfast. So third image will talk about the ingredients. All the ingredients are written, and then it is written it contains the oligofructose dietary supplement 1 gram over 100 gram. If you'll see, nutritional information is there on the left image and allergen advice. And if you see right image, then the serving suggestions, storage instruction that are clearly displayed. Now, as a seller, if you will display front and back only, then the information which is present on the left and right image will be left unattended, meaning the consumer will not be able to know that what are the ingredients of this particular product and what is the serving suggestion, what is the nutritional information. So hence it is mandatory to give all side images for any product, food product. Now if you'll see, this is a pillow packing, this is not rectangle, it will have only two sides. So it's better to give two side clear picture, as well as then you can give a nutritional information on a cropped nutrition information, as well as ingredient information and other images as well. So but these two images will help customer to review the complete labeling and packaging requirement. These are pillow packs similar to rectangle, but these are pouches, meaning these are packs. These are not rectangle boxes. So if you'll see, four-sided images will suffice the requirement, along with if you want to give cropped nutritional information or cropped ingredient information, that can be supported along with all side images. So this is a bottle, can or jar. If you see, I mean, it is circular in nature, so hence it is very tough to capture all the side. So this is a front image which talks about the brand name, back image which talks about the FSI number and other requirements, and the other two images supports the rest of the parameter which is important from the regulatory perspective. If you see, there is on the right image there is non-veg logo present, right? So that says that yes, if you want to buy veg or non-veg product, you should be clear with the logo information. So if you see honey, this is a can or jar bottle. So that covers four side image which should cover all the information or parameters. Then these are bottles or jugs which are present, I mean front and back. I mean it doesn't have the four sides, so front and back is giving the complete information what is present on the label. And make sure on label all the things are present and all the relevant information should be present. So these are few examples which talks about how the label should look like. If you see this example, this talks about, this is a cropped image which will be present in one of the image which should be displayed at Amazon.in while purchasing the food. Ingredient value and allergen note is separately mentioned, so that if I want to see through that what ingredient it has or what is the allergen note, I should be able to clearly look at it. These are examples wherein cropped nutritional information is there, so that should be provided along with the all side images of the product. These are few examples of special instructions. So again, I just want to reiterate why these are important, because there is a regulatory enforcement that by 30th June 2022, manufacturer, they should have all the labeling and packaging requirements that should comply with the regulation. Earlier there was an enforcement for 01 January 2022. However, that got exemption, that was extended to 30th June 2022. By 1st July onwards, regulators can visit any website, they can visit to any manufacturer unit, and they can look upon the product or the labeling details. And if it is not if it is misleading, then there can be penalty of 3 lakhs or more even. And they can, that depends, if they want to give a notice of scope of improvement, or there would be penalty if it is misleading the customer. So hence it is very much important to look upon that we are giving the right information to consumer. Whatever we are writing on the label, that is not misleading to the consumer. That is very obvious to maintain, and it has an enforcement. By 1st July onwards, there's no extension. So it has to be follow mandatory. So another additional point which we should look upon, that the image should be high pixel. It should look upon, it should have, it should not have a watermarks. It should have a original picture. For example, let's say we talk about a product A, but the image shows of some other product. When a consumer is buying, then product is not actually what is it is present on the image on the website. Then it is a liability of the seller as well, that what the information is provided, that is not accurate as per the customer perspective. So these are few information that you can always get from seller help page, which I'll be pasting these link in the chat box so that you can copy, you can go through the regulation, and you can look upon, what are the exceptions, what are the mandatory things which has to be followed, and what are the, seller help page that can support you all to meet the imaging compliance requirement at Amazon.in. So I can see one question is there, which is that if you're selling nuts, for example, if it is single ingredient, if you're selling almonds, then there is no need of, declaring allergens. So for single ingredient, it is understood that this product contains, almonds, so hence it is self-explanatory. So if you talk about phone number required on the online catalog or only email, so ideally it should have a traceability wherein customer care number and email IDs are, suggestive. But ideally that, for feedback, for suggestion, there should be a traceability so that customer or whosoever is buying the product, that should be able to reach to the manufacturer. Otherwise, you can look upon the seller help page named imaging compliance requirement. That will help you suffice the requirement. This regulation, if you'll go to FSI website, you would be able to see that in depth, the regulation description is very much clearly mentioned. You can look upon it. For how to upload images, you can go to Seller Central and you can look upon the imaging guidelines that is clearly mentioned. And therein it is clearly mentioned that what should be the pixel of the label and what are the labeling requirements that should be present on the label itself. And thank you so much for your participation.